Hello my friends and welcome back to the channel. It's Thordrenick here with another Battle for Azeroth spec preview. Today we're looking at the Assassination Rogue. This is a spec that has not changed tremendously from live. Obviously, like all specs, it is affected a little bit by the loss of the artifact weapon, but less severely than some of the other classes and specs in the game. So let's take a look at the basic rotation. Is pretty much exactly the same. Obviously we've lost our artifact ability, which I still have on my bars here. Let's drop that off. But we still have Mutilate as our main combo point generator, Garrote as a bleed to maintain on the target, and then our finishers are going to be Envenom and Rupture. You're going to want to keep these two bleeds up on the target at all times, and then keep as high uptime on that Envenom buff, which is the same as it's been for years and years and years. And try to get as many Mutilates into that Envenom window as you possibly can. So let's go ahead and open up on a dummy right here just so we can see what this is going to look like. Probably shouldn't open with an auto attack. So you're going to open with a Garrote, you're going to Mutilate and Rupture, then Mutilate. Here we're going to use Poison Blade, and then we're going to pool energy for a little bit in Venom, and then get as many Mutilates as we can into that Envenom window. And do it again. We're going to Garrote back up, and now we're going to Rupture because that's about to fall off, and we're right back into it. So, overall, Assassination is a straightforward spec to play. It's fairly simple out of the box, but there are a few nuances that bear discussing that have always been there. The first is that you don't just want to spam your abilities. Assassination has this playstyle where you are pooling your energy because you have a 6 to 7 second window on Envenom where you deal increased damage. Well, you do increase damage because you have an increased chance to apply your poisons to the target, and so you want to get as many of your attacks into that window as you possibly can. So you're going to try to pull up energy without capping, get that big Envenom off, and then immediately dump your energy into your other attacks. So, looking at the spellbook, other significant things, we still have Cheap Shot, Cloak of Shadows, we have our Heal, Crimson Vial, Distract, we have Evasion, Fan of Knives is still our AoE. We have Feint, which has been nerfed from live. It now has a 15-second cooldown, but Feint was overpowered for a very long time, having essentially permanent uptime at the cost of a decent amount of DPS. I'll give you that. But having permanent uptime on such a big damage reduction from AoE was really, really overpowered and had a nerf coming for many expansions. Garrote has also been changed a little bit. The cooldown has been shortened significantly. It's a 15-second cooldown for the 18-second bleed on live, and it is a 6-second cooldown for that same 18-second bleed in BFA on beta right now. What that means is that you should have an easier time maintaining Garrote on multiple targets, and you shouldn't have to worry about almost letting it fall off before you refresh it either. Kidney Shot is our stun finisher, is still there. We still have Kick. Poison Knife you can use if you're out of range on a boss, because if you have to get out of the AoE or something, you just throw your poison knives in, generate combo points, get your poisons on the target. Our poisons are the same: Deadly Poison, Wound Poison, and Crippling Poison. One thing to note is that if you take the talent for Leeching Poison, it actually adds the effect to Deadly Poison and Wound Poison, which means you don't have to choose between using Leeching Poison and Crippling Poison anymore. Already talked about Rupture. You want to keep 100% uptime on Rupture on your target. And then Sap, Shadow Step, Shroud of Concealment are AoE Stealth, Sprint, Stealth, Toxic Blaze of Talent. We'll talk about that later. Tricks is going to be important again for once. This is kind of been an ability that most people probably haven't been using for many expansions now, but threat matters again, as you may know in Battle for Azeroth. Tank threat has been squished from being about 10 times the threat of a DPS to only being about 4 times, which is still a significant number, but in AoE scenarios, using Tricks of the Trade on your tank is going to be really, really helpful for the party. Probably the easiest way to do that is to just make a focus macro and then focus your tank, and then on big pulls, or if it looks like threat is becoming an issue, you can just hit tricks to the trade. There's very little cost for doing that, and it can save your entire group. Vanish, same as it's always been. Vendetta is the same as it is without our artifact weapon in Legion. Now the artifact weapon lowers the cooldown on Vendetta significantly, so we are going to have lower uptime on Vendetta than we have on Live. Fleet-footed, just 15% movement speed. Now our Mastery has changed a bit on Live, and since Mastery was implemented into the game as a stat, it has affected Assassination's poison damage, and only poison damage. In BFA, that is being changed to include bleed damage, which will help a lot with scaling. It'll make sure that bleeds are still relevant, and the talents that affect bleeds are still relevant late into the expansion. This is a really good change. Seal Fate is the same that it's always been. We just get an extra combo point when we crit with a combo point generator. And then Venomous Wounds just gives us energy when we deal bleed damage from our bleeds to a poisoned target. Now, let's take a look at our talents, because there have been a few changes here. We still have the basic poison build where you take Master Poisoner and Toxic Blade, and probably want to take Deeper Stratagem with that. We'll see what balancing ends up looking like between these talents on each tier, really. And then Poison Bomb, which wasn't on the artifact, has been moved to a talent, and it has been buffed slightly. So on the artifact weapon, it has a 2.5% chance, I believe, per combo point spent to create that pool of poison, and as a talent it has a 4% chance. So if you're spending a 6 combo point ability, that's a 24% chance to proc this bomb. So we might see it going off more often. That's a pretty cool change, I think. And let's just go through the talent tree as it is. So in tier 15 we've got Master Poisoner, which increases damage done by our poisons, so it's deadly poison, wound poison, by 30%, and non-damaging effects by 20%. This is just buffs your poisons. We've got Elaborate Planning. Your finishing moves grant you 10% increased damage done for 4 seconds. Now, if you were paying attention earlier, we have this window after we cast Envenom where we want to get more abilities off because we're implying more poisons. This synergizes with that really nicely, because for 4 seconds, we're already encouraged to pull up energy and dump it right after we use Envenom. If you take Elaborate Planning, you're encouraged to do that even more because you have this damage window after you cast a finishing move where you deal additional damage. And then Blindside is making its glorious return. This is very similar to what has been before. Basically, rogues get an Execute, and then you also have a chance to proc that Execute from Mutilate, where you can use it on any target regardless of their health. Tier 30, Night Stalker and Subterfuge are exactly the same as they are on Live, I believe. No changes there. And then Master Assassin. This is a slightly nerfed version of the legendary shoulders from Legion, where the shoulders, I'm actually wearing them right now so I can bring up the tooltip. The shoulders give you 100% crit rating, 100% crit chance, not rating, 100% crit chance while you are stealthed, and for 5 seconds after breaking stealth. The Talent Master Assassin is going to be 50% increased crit chance for 3 seconds after breaking stealth. So it's a slightly nerfed version, but it does give you that playstyle, and it keeps Vanish as a very, very strong offensive cooldown. Tier 45, we've got Vigor, increased energy regen, and max energy. We've got Deeper Stratagem. You get a 6th combo point, and your finishing moves deal more damage. And we've got Marked for Death, which you just get 5 combo points immediately, and the cooldown resets if the target dies within 1 minute. So this is really good for trash. It'll be really good for Mythic Plus, for questing and world content. It'll allow you to move from mob to mob just that much faster, and it'll have really high uptime, lots of free combo points. On tier 60, we've got Leeching Poison, Cheat Death, and Elusiveness. These are all essentially the same as they are on Live. Of course, Elusiveness is going to be slightly less beneficial compared to Live because of that cooldown that we talked about on Feint. It's a 15-second cooldown. On Live, it has no cooldown, so Elusiveness takes a nerf because of the ability that it affects being nerfed. Tier 75, we've got internal bleeding that gives your kidney shot a significant amount of damage. It's 4,600, almost 4,700 damage. I mean, you compare that to a 6-point in venom is only 3,600 damage, and a 6-point rupture is 7,300 damage over its duration. So that's about more than half the damage of a full combo point rupture over 6 seconds instead of over 28 seconds. So that allows your kidney shot to apply really strong pressure. This will be really nice for PvP, and it'll be really nice for doing things where mobs are going to be alive for a short duration. It makes kidney shot, which is an already a pretty strong ability depending on what you're using it for, and turns it into a very strong damaging ability as well. Iron Wire increases the duration of Garrote's silence effect by 3 seconds. This is pretty strong as well. If you're in a situation where you need to silence something and you're in stealth, Garrote gives you a 3-second silence out of the box, and then if you take Iron Wire, that's a 6-second silence. And for 8 seconds, the enemies that are silenced by Garrote will deal 15% less damage. So this is going to be really strong to counter casters, whether that's a mob in a Mythic Plus dungeon, or a healer, or not a healer, a damaging caster, or a healer with that silence in PvP. Prey on the Weak, enemies affected by your cheap shot or kidney shot take 10% increased damage from all sources for 6 seconds. This will also be strong in a lot of those same scenarios. This is just mostly your crowd control tier, which a lot of classes have. So you decide how you want to amplify your ability to perform crowd control and also deal extra damage to crowd controlled targets. Tier 90, we've got Venom Rush, which now makes Mutilate refund 5 energy when used against a poison target. We've got Toxic Blade, which is really nice synergy with Master Poisoner because it increases your nature damage done against the target for 9 seconds. So if you can build up 4 combo points and then use Toxic Blade to fill out your combo points and get an Envenom off, and then get another full Envenom off during that window, this is a really strong, really strong ability. And then it's Exsanguinate, which causes your bleeds to finish their effect 100% faster. Now this kind of goes into that bleed build that's on live. It's not quite as strong, I don't think, but of course tuning is always coming. And one thing to make note, if you're playing with Exsanguinate, do not overwrite your bleeds. Let them finish out, just use your other abilities until they finish, and then reapply your bleeds. Tier 100, we've got Poison Bomb, which we already talked about. That's from the artifact weapon. We've got Hidden Blades, which every 2 seconds you gain 20% increased damage on your next Fan of Knives, stacking up to 20 times. And Crimson Tempest, which gives us an AoE finisher. So here you can kind of choose how you want to be dealing your AoE damage. Do you want a proc that's going to be also useful on single target? Do you want just increased damage on your AoE combo point generator, or do you want to have an AoE combo point spender? So that's what the talent tree looks like, and yeah, that's the Assassination Rogue. Very similar to how it's always been. Not the most difficult spec in the game, but sometimes you don't want to play the most difficult spec in the game. You want a spec that's going to be solid, give you just a little bit of nuance to keep things interesting, and be strong and fun to play. Thanks for watching, guys. If you made it this far, please give us a like and a comment in the video description down below. And please be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're going to keep this Battle for Azeroth Beta previews coming. I wanted to start with the Fury Warrior and the Assassination Rogue because those have been my 2 main characters throughout Legion. And yeah, we'll keep them coming. Let me know in the comments if there's any particular classes that you guys want to see next. And we'll see you in that next video. Thanks. Bye-bye.